Hello, my friends. Today, due to the lack of success in the Kharkiv direction, the Russians are forced to evacuate 14 border settlements at once. The governor also said that pregnant women need to be evacuated from the 20-kilometer border zone.
Особое внимание глав органов местного самоуправления к женщинам, которые находятся, к беременным, их нахождение. Ну вот там в Устинку я приезжаю, когда недели 3 назад был, да, женщина держит на руках, ну сколько, месяца 2 ребенка. Поэтому сегодня у нас там погиб человек. Один. У нас раненых еще, по-моему, 2. Только 3 человека сзади. Выбор-то он у нас с вами очень маленький. Поэтому это отдельная категория, которую мы, уважаемые главы, вы обязаны, давайте вот так, давайте доводить информацию, Андрей Александрович, до глав ежемесячно о женщинах, которые проживают в 20-километровой зоне приграничья, и что глава, какую работу провел для того, чтобы оказать помощь семье, женщине, переехать в безопасное место. Если обстрелы, как, например, в Безыменно или в Устинке, или в Шебекино продолжаются.
It seems they realized that the buffer zone is being created on Russian territory, not Ukrainian, as initially planned, despite the fact that the Ukrainian forces continue to destroy all at once in groups. Unfortunately, it's not always possible to hold the defense everywhere, and the front line is gradually moving. Let's briefly review the situation on the front, starting with the Kharkiv direction. Here, the battles for Hlyboke continue, and the Russians are bombarding everything because they have a huge advantage in this area. They also still have enough reserves for assault operations, so they don't stop, and the front line hasn't changed in the past day. In Vovchansk, the fighting continues, as do the shelling by cap bombs. Despite the difficult situation, the Ukrainian forces managed to hold the front line without changes. In the Kupiansk direction, the Russians continue to assault Siversk. After successful advances, they are now attempting to move closer to the village of Hlushkivka. Here, the distance from the front line to the water barrier is 5.5 kilometers. The Russians continue to carry out shelling in this area, indicating that their plans are gradually being implemented. In the Svatove area, Russians are assaulting Svatove and Stelmachivka. For now, there are no changes on the front line, and the capture of Andriivka is still not confirmed. Further south, the Russians were unable to take control of Makhivka and Kharkivka. Instead, they heavily shelling these villages to try and launch new assaults. In the Kreminna area, there is currently a lull. The Russians conducted numerous attacks near Nevsky and Terny, but didn't achieve any success. After suffering significant losses, they have begun regrouping. In the Siversk area, the Russians continue to assault Verkhnyo-Kamensk and Vuyimka. The activity has slightly decreased, allowing the Ukrainian forces to repel all attacks successfully. Consequently, the front line hasn't changed over the past day. In the direction of Chasiv Yar, the Russians are directly assaulting the city and continuing the attacks on Andriivka. They are also heavily shelling Konstantinivka, and according to preliminary information from the Ukrainian forces, there have been losses of positions near Ivanivske and Klishchiivka. we're waiting official confirmations, but it's clear that the situation here is complicated. In the Toretsk direction, it has been confirmed that the Russians have advanced 1 kilometer and 400 meters in New York. The fighting continues in the areas of Delivka, Pivnichne, Zalizne, and Pivdenne with relentless shelling. The territory is being heavily bombarded to prevent the Ukrainian forces from establishing strongholds. In the Pokrovsk direction, battles are ongoing for Vozdvizhenka, and the Russians are trying to expand their controlled territory near Novoalexandrivka. The Ukrainian forces are doing everything possible to maintain their defense, and for now there have been no changes in this section of the front for the past month. The Russians have been unable to advance further towards the highway. However, towards Novohrodivka, there have been several significant advances by the Russians this month. Following the capture of the village of Progress, they continue to advance towards Vovchansk. Additionally, there are ongoing attempts to break through from Novoselivka Persha across the fields and from Umansk. The Russians are trying to push the Ukrainian forces beyond the water obstacle and take control of all the fields. Near Kharkivka, the Russians are managing to break through the water barrier and move towards Kalynove. The Ukrainian forces are currently repelling them, but the situation is extremely difficult with continued shelling of the area by the Russians. In the direction of Kurakhove, the occupiers are assaulting Krasnohorivka, and the situation near the village of Kostiantynivka has seriously deteriorated. After significant advances yesterday, the Russians continue to assault Paraskoviivka and the village of Kostiantynivka, moving across the fields towards Katerynivka. As you can see, they are making progress, and the front line is gradually shifting to approach Kurakhove from the south. In the Vuhledar region, the Russians are also making gains. Today, the Russians have resumed their assaults on Vuhledar after a long period of inactivity. The assaults have started, and the number of rare shelling has increased significantly. Additionally, yesterday the Russians managed to advance 1 kilometer or 4 kilometers, closer to Velyka Novosilka. They are now effectively near the outskirts of the settlement. Therefore, the situation here is critical, and they are trying to leverage their success to reach the town immediately. The Ukrainian forces are doing everything possible to hold the defense. Meanwhile, the Russians are continuously attempting to break through from Staromayorsk and Urozhaine towards Makarivka, making the situation very tense. In the Zaporizhzhia direction, the situation has somewhat stabilized today. Here, the Russians are conducting attacks near Robotyne and toward Novodanilivka, but the front line remains unchanged. The Ukrainian forces are repelling all attacks. In the Kherson direction, the Russians are intensifying shelling of the right bank. The number of strikes has significantly increased. According to the official statement from the General Staff, attacks in the area of Казачьи Лагері continue, but Russian correspondents claim that there is no activity there at all. Meanwhile, the Russians are complaining that their soldiers are being buried like dogs.
Вот посмотрите, похоронили героя, погибшего в зоне военных действий. Похоронили как собаку, в дорогу. Отсыпанная дорога. Здесь ходили машины, проезжали люди. Хоронили народ. А его как собаку, не героя. Вот такое вообще возможно, нет? Как вообще по совести, по сердцу? Кому это все?
Да, это может быть по документам не дорога. А с человеческой точки зрения, вы же христиане, вы же все в Бога веруете. Как вы могли захоронить бойца, героя на проезжей части?
At the same time, Latvia is installing dragon's teeth near its border with Russia. So, from the video, you can immediately see the high quality of the concrete blocks. Okay, for example, this is how the Ukrainian dragon's teeth look like. I think the difference is immediately noticeable. It's also reported that Latvia will transfer over 500 more drones to Ukraine as part of the drone coalition. It's known that Latvia will transfer over 2,500 drones worth 4 million euros to the Ukrainian armed forces. The Latvian Ministry of Defense emphasized that these are unmanned aerial vehicles produced by 7 Latvian companies of varying capacities according to current needs. Meanwhile, in the US, a truly intense election race is beginning between Trump and Harris. Recent polls in the US show that Trump and Harris, who could become the Democratic candidate, have almost identical ratings. Results indicate that, on average, Trump has 48% support in the last 6 polls, while Harris has 47%. Friends, who do you support? Please share your thoughts in the comments. Meanwhile, Serbia's president has stated that everything is heading towards the World War III.
Objašnjavam sve, ali hoću samo da vam kažem da po onome što ja vidim mi polako klizimo kao kontinent i svet u katastrofu. Plašim se da zbog ovolike strasti koju imamo svuda na svakoj strani i nepopustljivosti svih, upravo idemo u najgorem smeru i mislim da ne postoji ništa što to u ovom trenutku može da zaustavi. Prave se ratne vlade. Pogledajte zahteve najvećih opozicionih stranaka u Evropi. Od 20 zahteva, 10 se tiču rata. Naoružavanje i svega drugog. Sve je priprema za rat. Sve.
Whether there will be a World War III will be revealed very soon. And that's all from me. So please, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.